Hey everyone, it's Chris back again and finishing up my question and answer video. So let's go ahead and bring up the questions that you guys asked. I got quite a few, more than I expected, so this video might be a bit lengthy. But anyways, we'll start with this one from Matt Lombardi. Asks, what's your thoughts on paid DLC? Well, paid DLC, it depends on what it is and how it's priced. I like paid DLC to be substantial, similar to the Grand Theft Auto 4 DLCs is obviously a good choice to bring up. I don't mind smaller DLCs as long as they're very cheap, but when it starts getting into stuff like costumes and skins, stuff like that, that's when I start to take issue. All that stuff used to be unlockable, like in the past generations, the retro generations, and now it's like, you know, $1 per costume or something. So that I'm opposed to, but new missions and stuff I'm okay with as long as they're priced right and they've got a decent length to them, and that they don't complete the main story. I want the main game to be a complete experience and the DLCs to be a side story. But that brings up a point about digital gaming in general. I've always thought that it would be a good idea, with the way things are nowadays, with needing day one updates to fix glitches and slowdowns and stuff like that. I think they should release all games digital first. Let them patch up the game, get it all fixed, release all the planned DLC, and then, you know, 6 months later, release the physical version. That way we don't get these vanilla physical discs that are basically coasters that you buy, and you're not going to get the full and stable experience unless you connect to the servers to fix the game. Yeah, I would totally be willing to wait 6 months to play a game in order to ensure that the disc I'm buying is a complete game with all the glitches fixed. They've kind of tried that a little bit with games like Resident Evil Revelations 2. That came out digital first. Once all the episodes were out, they released a physical version. But I believe even that version needed a patch, so that's not exactly ideal. I believe they're doing that with the new Hitman game. All the chapters are being released digitally over time, and then there's going to be a physical version, which I may buy once that is finally a complete game. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. I want physical games. I want them to be complete and glitch-free. So that's my answer. Okay. Next up, let's answer Zero Itch Zero. Asks, what computer and software do you use to render your videos? Well, I'm using a Digital Storm pre-built PC, but it contains an i5, I want to say 4670K CPU that's overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz, and it's water cooled. It has a GTX 770 in it, which a 2 gigabyte version, which I really want to upgrade in the spring to the GTX 1080. So here's hoping I end up doing that and find a good price. And then I have 8 gigs RAM, Windows 10, SSD for my main drive, I think only 128 gigabyte, and then I've got a bunch of secondaries. I think I've got like 4 terabytes of space total. As far as software, I use Adobe Premiere Pro 5.5, specifically 5.5 for reasons. You figure out the reasons. Yeah, I like it. I'm used to it. It reminds me a lot of the old audio editing programs I used back in the day. You know, got the timeline and the preview and everything, and you can add effects. I'm kind of amateurish at it, but I think I do alright. But yeah, that's what I use. Okay. Now I will answer questions from a good buddy of mine, Agalock88, and you've seen him on plenty of my Let's Play videos, otherwise known as Ryan. He asks, learn any more good recipes in prison? Well, you know, I learned that frickin' Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuit copycat recipe, so I guess there's that. Need the fucking honey drizzle. Other than that, I need to try some of the recipes that you've told me about, so yeah, maybe I need to do some more future cooking videos based on some new recipes. And then he also asks, favorite PS4 game? Favorite PS4 game right now? God, I think you know what the answer is going to be. Probably Doom, but that's not really a PS4 specific game. PS4 exclusive game, probably Bloodborne would be my favorite right now. Yeah, that's it. And then he asks, favorite E3 flub. Favorite E3 flub. Probably all the awkward pauses, like that really hot chick that was hosting the Sony. There was one moment where they just cut back to them and they're like, yeah, that was great. Other than that, I'm not too sure. I think the biggest flub was the fact that there wasn't much interesting there. Yeah, I wasn't really impressed by much of anything after watching it. I was pretty disappointed with E3 overall. God, these questions. Okay, I think I'm gonna start tackling some of Sega CD Universe's questions because he's a greedy bitch and he asks a lot of questions here, so better start plowing through them. Favorite first-person shooter? That is really tough. I will give you a top 5 and then I will tell you my actual favorite because I've got to mention multiple ones, and this might change from day to day because my mood always changes on FPS games. Off the top of my head, number 5, that would probably be, oh man, it's just, I think of one and then I'm like, no, this one's better, no, this one's better. But number 5 would probably be GoldenEye on N64. Just because, you know, that's one of my most nostalgic FPS experiences back in the day. It's the first one, besides Quake, well, it was the first one to really give like a more realistic 3D experience. I guess I had played Rainbow Six as well, but I don't know, GoldenEye just had a very like dynamic look to it with the way you took out enemies, the animations and such. It was very cinematic, I should say. Cinematic, it had realistic reactions, very good level design, replayability with all the unlocks and the different objectives for different difficulty levels. So yeah, that would definitely be 5. Number 4 would probably be, God, first person, so I'm not going to say any third person here. how about the original Doom, or maybe Ultimate Doom? Just because that really got me started on my craze. I played the original Doom back in the day on the shareware discs. I had borrowed the old floppy version of the shareware. I forget how many discs it was, I think 4 maybe. And I ran to my uncle's house. He was the only family member I knew who lived near me who had a PC, and begged him to let me install it and play it. And yeah, I played it for probably 20 minutes. And then I ran back to school, and yeah, that got me hooked on FPS ever since then. Definitely blown away, so that deserves number 4 spot. Number 3, let's say Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, or the Escape from Dark Athena upgraded version. Yeah, that game was really well done on the original Xbox, because that was during the time when Doom 3 was going to be coming out, and then Riddick came out, and it actually in some ways had better graphics than Doom 3, and it had a very open gameplay style, kind of like an RPG. So yeah, I really enjoyed Riddick. It got me back into the movie. I had watched what was the first? Pitch Black was the first movie, and when Chronicles of Riddick came out, the game, I was like, oh yeah, that was that movie, okay. So yeah, it kind of got me back into those movies, and now it's one of my favorite sci-fi film series. So yeah, so that's number 3, I think. Number 2, ooh, shit. Okay, I'm juggling between 2 here, but number 2 would probably be Half-Life 2. I almost want to say either Half-Life 1 or 2, but I think 2 is the better game. Yeah, we all know why Half-Life 2 is great, so I don't really have to go into that. And then for number 1, it would probably be The Darkness on Xbox 360, made by the Riddick developers. And yeah, I've replayed that game so many times. It has great graphics, nice main character, nice dialogue between characters. Yeah, it's just great graphics, everything. It took what was in Riddick and made it more actiony and gave it a nice mob story, which is cool. So yeah, I'd say that's my favorite FPS right now, but I'll probably kick myself for not mentioning another FPS. But yeah, another honorable mention would probably be the new Doom, Crisis 1, Far Cry, the original Far Cry for PC. Yeah, I guess we'll just go with those. I mean, even some of those honorable mentions could be my favorite, depending on the day. But yeah. Okay. Favorite RPG. I'll give you 3 favorite RPGs. Off the top of my head, Xenogears on PS1 would be number 3, I guess. Just because that was my first taste of like an RPG having a really like in-depth philosophical type story. Other RPGs kind of had a little bit of that, but Xenogears really went deep with the religious, discussions and life discussions, life and death, stuff like that. So yeah, Xenogears. Second would probably be Chrono Trigger, just because it's Chrono Trigger. What can I say? There's a Chrono Trigger inspired game coming out soon called I Am Setsuna, and it's not actually Chrono Trigger, but it's in the exact same style, made by Square Enix as well, and they unfortunately are only releasing it digitally, so I probably will not play it until it's on sale on PC. But yeah, that's a shame they didn't think it was worthy enough for a physical release. But yeah, Chrono Trigger is my second favorite. And then number one would probably be Final Fantasy VI. I had started with Final Fantasy IV, aka Final Fantasy II in the US. But I think 6 perfected that formula, and I was obsessed with it. I would draw my own, Final Fantasy VI inspired sprites when I should have been doing my homework. And yeah, I love that game. It's still fun to me today. I play the Game Boy Advance version from time to time. It's really nice to just pick that up and play a little ways into it. So yeah, 6 is definitely my favorite. That's Final Fantasy III in the US. Okay, and honorable mentions would probably be stuff like, I'm really enjoying Odin Sphere Leaf Thrasier right now. I think it's really underrated game. I mean, it gets a lot of praise, but it doesn't get enough attention. I love Final Fantasy, well, I like 4, like I said. I like Final Fantasy 8 and 9 are good. 7 is good, but it's so overrated. Yeah, I've got too many RPGs, so that's that. Then he asks, best cheese in Wisconsin? I would probably say it's one of the fresh-made cheese curds that you get locally. That seems to be a favorite of a lot of people. Unfortunately, I think I'm lactose intolerant now, so I can't eat a lot of cheese, but I still do from time to time, and yeah, I can't resist those freaking fresh cheese curds. I will blow my ass out in the toilet for days to eat those goddamn cheese curds. Oh god. Gorgeous George's ball sack smells of what? Yeah, it probably smells like the fucking inside of Fielden's glory hole, but I don't know, I don't even want to think about it. It's probably a fucking health hazard to even be near his ball sack, so yeah, I think maybe he should be quarantined. Another one from Sega CD Universe. He asked, brand of deodorant you use? I use Arm & Hammer. Why? Are you looking for a recommendation? Do you powder your nuts as well? Well, I think to answer that question, you just need to come over here and smell my balls, and then you will get your answer. So that's that. But yeah, and yes, 2 ball sack questions. Very nice. Alright, and then from CD Universe again, games you found most similar to Shenmue. Well, I know that the Yakuza series is supposed to be very similar, but I've never actually played it. But games I've found similar are probably just games with certain elements from Shenmue. I don't think there's really been a game that's quite the same as Shenmue. That's really an original game. As far as the overall structure of being like a martial arts adventure type of thing, probably Jade Empire would be similar in a way on the original Xbox and PC, just because, that's ancient, whatever, Chinese mythology type story, but, it's kind of an RPG adventure. We go around talking to people and martial arts fighting people. But actual elements, I would say whenever I play the forklifting sections in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, that really reminds me of the fork driving in Shenmue. Other than that, a lot of the dialogue systems in RPGs kind of reminds me of Shenmue, like I mentioned before, the Riddick game, that and the darkness. When you talk face to face with people, the camera angles kind of remind me of how Shenmue was, and so many games like BioWare games, Elder Scrolls have all had that kind of style. But okay, that's that, and I am definitely looking forward to Shenmue 3. I just hope they do an HD version of Shenmue 1 and 2. Okay. All the rest of the questions are on the same subject, so that's why I saved them to the end. The Atheist Gamer asks, how many cocks does Gorgeous George suck nightly at Field-Ins? And that's the famous Field-Ins glory hole that Gorgeous George frequented back in the day. But unfortunately, Field-Ins, I believe, has closed. I don't know if they reopened, but I'm pretty sure Gorgeous George has compensated for that by opening a 24/7 all-you-can-eat cock buffet in his mom's house basement for Gigi to take advantage of. So he doesn't even have to leave the house to get that satisfaction anymore. Next up, we have a question from Nick Manson. Asks, ultimately, how do you see the Gorgeous George saga ending, if at all? Well, yeah, like you said, if at all, it probably won't end until he's dead, because it seems like George is hell-bent on being butthurt forever, the rest of his life. How long his life will be, I don't know. It depends if he exercises and gets off the Nacho Mamas. Then he might live longer to be butthurt for many years to come. Okay. And then Nam's Noodle, another friend of mine, asks, how did you come across Gorgeous George? What was your first immediate reaction when discovering him? And what's been the best part about trolling him? You know, I can't really remember how I came across Gorgeous George exactly. But I know it was back in the Something Awful days. I think about this, like, where did I even watch videos back in the day before YouTube? I know I watched his videos before YouTube existed. So it was probably like, I don't know, like MySpace or something. Someone must have shared a link to me, and then I went and checked him out. I'm not too sure exactly where I first saw him. That's kind of a mystery to me. But what was your first immediate reaction to him? I thought it was hilarious how, like, well, obviously the most hilarious thing was the actual trolls trolling him. I just thought it was great how harsh they were ripping into him, and his ego was off the charts, and that's what made bringing him down a level so much more satisfying. So yeah, I mean, George thinks he's talented and he's a genius, he's a comedic genius, but really it's 50-50. 50% of it is his massive, unrealistic ego, and the other 50% are the trolls who would call on his show. And he just has never banked on that. He could have done so many things with that idea. He could have played along with them, marketed it, but no. He wants to do things his way. He wants to be known as this talented radio/television personality, and he's just not talented in that way. He's a punching bag. That's all he is, and we control him. What's the best part about trolling him? Well, that's the thing. I haven't trolled him in a while, and he still brings me up from day to day. Whenever I hear about him, he's talking about me. I think he talked about me in the recent video that he who will not be named was talking to Gorgeous George, and Gorgeous George, well, he who will not be named asked George about me, and George said, I was a loser or whatever. I forget what he said. His phone, the quality of that call was so bad. But the best part about trolling him was definitely back in the early days of YouTube when he would do huge butthurt strings of comments, and we could just post one thing and there he was ready to give his 2 cents. So yeah, that was probably the best part about trolling him, was those days when he actually would react to it. And nowadays he doesn't react a lot, but he definitely can still be butthurt like the old days, just in a different form, you know. And Sean definitely is the one who makes him the most butthurt nowadays, that's for sure. So, Bandersnatch187 asks, will you make more sizzled meat videos? I need the sizzle! Well, about that. You wanted that fucking sizzle? Well, you get that fucking chicken teriyaki sizzle. Get on that fucking grill and satisfy my urge to fucking sizzle. Fucking sizzle. What? All you thought we would sizzle is the fucking meats? We also sizzle fucking vegetables of every kind, motherfucker. Once those cook up, it's gonna fucking go so well with the sizzled meats. We sizzle so many kinds of veggie bitches. Got the fucking mushrooms. Toss those fucking in there. You know you love the shrooms. Yeah, so we got the fucking pineapple and fucking asparagus. Get in there and sizzle. And just to make it steam, we put some of the fucking juice in there from the pineapples. Fuck yeah. And then you just let it simmer. Alright, motherfuckers. We're gonna intermix the meats back with the veggies. But then we're gonna fucking drizzle. Cause I know you guys need an alpha male to fucking drizzle all over your ass. Fuck yeah. Here's the final result. Delicious chicken teriyaki sizzle with a side of basmati rice. Only takes 20 minutes. Fucking sizzle. Alright, well, thanks for all the questions, guys. I enjoyed doing the video. Maybe I'll do something like this in the future. But yeah, thanks to everyone who participated. And I will see you on the next video. Alright, peace out, everyone.